Because it really doesn't matter if it's a 1-bedroom flat or a 5-bedroom house, there are certain principles that are gonna make your space feel a little bit more elevated and luxurious, and I can't wait to share some of those with you. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Love Marby, where I share about all things home, heart, and hosting. Now, if you're new here, just imagine if Oprah and Martha Stewart had a baby. I would basically be the end result because I love rich, deep conversations, but I also love hosting dinner parties, gathering people, cooking, and making sure my home feels really beautiful and elevated. And that's basically what I share across all my platforms. I'm Marby's Kitchen on Instagram and TikTok if you want to give me a follow over there. Now, in a recent video here on YouTube, I shared about how to make your home look and feel more expensive, and you guys really loved that video, and it was great to hear some of the feedback and the questions that you had in response to that. So today we're going to be exploring little luxuries that make a big impact in your home. It doesn't matter whether it's a 1-bedroom flat or a 5-bedroom house or even a mansion. There are certain principles that are just going to work across the board. Now, when it comes to designing anything, whether it's an event or even your home, you always have to think about the fact that people experience the world through their 5 senses. So what they see, what they smell, what they hear, what they touch, and also what they taste, right? So when I'm designing my events or even when I'm designing my home, that's what I love to bear in mind. And if you do that, you're going to be a step ahead of the curve, okay? So with that being said, the first thing that really makes such a huge difference in your home as a little luxury is the way your home smells. And it's so important to be really intentional about this because when you go into a really nice hotel lobby or a resort or a really nice designer store, please know that they have paid so much attention to the scent profile of that space. A lot of times they will even design a signature scent for the lobby or for the bathroom. And I feel like you can replicate that in your home and you don't have to break the bank. When it comes to little luxuries for your home that make a big impact, it's not always about the big investment pieces. Sometimes it's about being intentional with the little details. And I feel like making sure your home smells amazing is something so small but so intentional that can make a huge impact. Now, someone actually asked a question about how to make your home smell great in response to my recent video, and they asked about making sure it smells great all day, especially if it's a larger home. So the first thing I would say in response to that is to make sure you get rid of anything that you could potentially have become nose blind to, or just anything that doesn't make your home smell great. So taking the bins out regularly, not leaving it for a long time, making sure when you're drying your clothes, they're actually fully dry, because sometimes the smell of mold that you can sometimes become nose blind to can have a huge impact on the way your home smells. It's making sure you open some windows. It really blows my mind how many people do not open their windows on a regular basis. And I get it, sometimes you have allergies, you have hay fever, and you want to make sure you don't open the windows up too frequently. But I feel like simply opening up the windows and your doors, if you have some, every morning, it makes such a huge difference. I do this every single morning without a doubt. Typically, I like to sleep with my window open, but even if I don't, even if it's too cold throughout the night to do that, as soon as I wake up, the first thing I do is open up my windows, because I'm not saying I have BO in the night when I sleep, but for most people, you sweat at night, right? So opening up the windows, allowing some fresh air to come into your bedroom, into your home, especially if you're cooking and maybe you have an open plan space and you have a lot of fabric. It's so easy to forget the fact that when you cook, the smell can sometimes get trapped in your fabric, in your curtains, in your drapes. So opening up the windows once a day, it can change the game, right? Another thing that you can do to make sure that food odors don't get trapped in your space is closing the doors to the other spaces in your home when you're cooking, because sometimes you fry plantain or you've cooked chicken or you've made stew and your duvet and your pillows smell of that because it's fabric, it's upholstery, and it's porous, for lack of a better word. So the scent and the odors can actually go into that. And yes, you can use things like Febreze or, you know, things that are supposed to eliminate scents. But honestly, if you just allow some fresh air into your space, it will tackle that problem for you from the get-go. But that's the first thing I would say. Do things that make sure that trapped odors or bad smells, even the smell of pets on your carpets, on your furniture, open up some doors, open up some windows, and let some fresh air circulate. But that's the first thing I would say. Just work on getting rid of the smells that you don't want or that you might have become nose blind to. Next thing I would recommend is possibly getting a signature scent. So sometimes you can get a signature scent where you have it in diffusers and candles and room sprays that you can use all across the house, or find particular notes that you like and you know you can find across different things. So for example, I really love musk, I love amber, I love sandalwood. I know the kind of scent profiles that I like, and even if I can't get one fragrance collection across the board, I make sure that even if I'm getting a candle from Jo Malone and maybe another diffuser from TK Maxx or Home Goods, they have similar notes, right? So when you walk throughout the house in the different spaces, you can smell that. And I think the same is true if you get a refillable diffuser. So sometimes I will have the Reed diffusers. I have those from Jo Malone or from Rituals. And if it's refillable, I will make sure, even if I have a different vessel, I have it in different spots of the house. So when you're going from room to room, it still smells the same. It feels like a luxurious experience because I've been intentional about making sure that when you go from my bedroom to the hallway to the living room, you have that signature scent profile across the space. Now, speaking of the ways to make this happen, one of the things that I think works really well, whether it's a small space or a larger space, is having candles. Now, the thing to bear in mind is you want to focus on scenting the high traffic areas of your home. So I have a diffuser and a candle that's readily available in my hallway because as soon as people walk in, I want them to take that scent in, right? I have the same for my living room. I also have the same for my kitchen area. There is a scent for each of those high traffic areas and also for my bathroom. Now, the great thing about scenting bathrooms typically is it's a confined space. So whether you're lighting a candle in there or you have a diffuser, the smell is easier to confine in that space so people can really enjoy it when they open the door. So I'm a big fan of making sure the doors are closed in my bathroom because when people come in there and they open the door, they can really take that scent in, right? Now, for your high traffic areas, you don't always want to have a candle burning all the time, especially in warmer seasons. In the winter and autumn or fall, you can get away with this. But sometimes what I like to do is have diffusers in those areas. And it's really important, if the instructions on the packaging say this, to make sure that you flip the sticks over. Sometimes you can't smell the diffuser that you have in your home because you're not flipping the sticks over often enough. And I know typically the recommendation is to do this, I believe, every 5 days or maybe every week. Even if you do this every 2 weeks, honestly, you will notice the difference. So I think typically for high traffic areas, I want to have a diffuser going where I can flip the stick over and you can actually take in the scent, right? I typically don't recommend potpourri. I know that was a big thing, I would say over a decade ago, and people still use it, but I feel like sometimes it gathers dust, especially if you're not topping up that scent with essential oil. So if you are going to have, you know, kind of those dried leaves or potpourri, I believe that's what it's called, you want to make sure that you're refreshing that scent often. If you have a diffuser and you have not topped that diffuser up in over a couple months, 6 months, just go and get a top up and refill that vessel and just know that the scent will actually be present in your home. Now, when you do have candles, you want to make sure that you're trimming the wick every single time before you light it. If not, what's going to happen is you're going to have the smell of the soot as opposed to the smell that you actually want from the candle. So every single time I'm about to light a candle, I literally have a wick trimmer. You can grab this from anywhere. I got mine from Amazon, and just make sure it works with the aesthetic of your home. But it's really important to trim your candle wick so you don't just have the smell of soot burning. Now, another great way to make sure a larger home smells great is to have an electric diffuser. I think this is such a great way to diffuse essential oils or things that you like. Maybe you have, a mixture for a diffuser. Sometimes you can actually add that in with a little bit of water into your diffuser and it smells great in your home. But I love this because it keeps the smell pumped, and also you can get some that look really pretty and look nice in your space. So not only is it functional, but it also looks amazing. I think this is a great hack, especially if you're hosting and entertaining. Because I have an open plan space, I want to make sure that whatever scent I have in the kitchen will actually cut through the smell of food. So I love things that maybe have a bit of mandarin, it might have lemongrass, it might have ylang ylang, I might have something like wild berry and bramble, which is what I actually have in my kitchen. So I want to make sure that whatever I have going, especially if it's an electric diffuser in my kitchen space, it cuts through the smell of food really well, because I don't love the idea of having musk and vanilla maybe in the kitchen space because it just doesn't smell vibrant enough. Another great hack when it comes to how your home smells is the fact that you can use scents to design your day. So for example, in the morning, I want something that feels a bit more vibrant, that's, you know, helping to wake me up. So sometimes I will diffuse a lemongrass or tea tree oil from my electric diffuser, and it's just such a great way to wake up and feel refreshed in the morning. Even better if you can have this set on a timer, but I don't. So I literally come out, and when I'm making my morning tea just before I journal, I put in some lemongrass and I put in some tea tree oil, and it smells vibrant and amazing as the first thing that, you know, I take in the morning. But honestly, if you think about it, when you are in a hotel space, a hotel lobby, a resort, or even the bathroom sometimes of these really nice establishments, you will notice they have been really intentional about the way their home smells, and you can do the same. It doesn't have to cost you too much. You just have to be mindful of some of the things that maybe don't make your home smell great, like food going off or even food smells being trapped in your home and in your fabrics, and just make sure that you're being intentional about the scents that you then have, whether it's through candles, diffusers, wall plugins, which are another great way to scent your home. Another hack that works really well actually for your guest experience if you are hosting is to roll up your tea towels in your guest bathroom and add some drops of essential oil. Now you just have to be mindful that no one that's coming has an allergy or is really sensitive to some of those essential oils, but every time I've used it, the guests love it. They really love the experience when they're drying their hands and they're like, oh my God, what is that smell? Or even when they go in the bathroom, you can actually smell it. And lemongrass works really well for this. I know some people go for lavender, but I love using lavender at night in my bedroom, either through my electric diffuser or sometimes all over my duvet and my pillows. But I think it's such a great hack when you're hosting to have an experience for your guests when they're drying their hands and they can smell that. It's just amazing. You want to take things up a notch, you can have a custom scent design that you can pump out through your air vents at different times of the day. The second little luxury that makes a big impact on your home is having flowers, fresh flowers, or greenery. I've spoken about this before, but having things that are alive, for lack of a better word, it really makes such a huge impact in your home. Again, when you go to hotel lobbies, resorts, they have been intentional about greenery, about plants, about foliage. And I always say it doesn't have to cost you a huge amount. You can go to a grocery store, a supermarket, Trader Joe's, Marks and Spencer's, wherever you are, and you can get flowers that will last you a while, but just look good in your space. You can get flowers for about £5 for some roses that just look good by your bedside table or even on your kitchen island. It doesn't matter the size of the space. This will always make a huge impact. Now, when it comes to fake flowers, this can work as well, but you have to be really mindful of getting some that are higher quality. So I believe A Floral is the one place that I would recommend where you can get really good quality fake florals. And you want to bear in mind that you have to dust these often. I would say every 2 weeks to a month. Even with your real plants, you want to go and wipe the dust off them, because it goes from looking great to kind of just looking janky if you have dust gathered all over it. And I feel like sometimes people have fake flowers that looked good initially, but they just don't take the time to go in with a duster or even a slightly damp tea towel and just wipe these down, because you just don't want dust to be gathered on something that's supposed to be elevating your space. Honestly, I would recommend flowers time and time again. When I can't always afford to have a big floral arrangement, I sometimes just make sure I get foliage or greenery that can go on my island and that looks great. Another hack when it comes to flowers is trying to get hydrangeas, especially in the autumn, winter season or fall. If you can go to a flower market and get dark colored hydrangeas that kind of have a berry-esque tone to it, so burgundies and deep reds, I find these dry out really well and last a long time. Sometimes this even works when I have green hydrangeas. I've had hydrangeas that I've kept for about 3 to 4 months, and once the water kind of dries out, it just continues to age really beautifully. It kind of acts as dried flowers. And honestly, it looks great on my island, and I don't have to keep going back and buying fresh flowers over and over again. But it still adds that luxurious feel to my space just from being dried out and being on the countertop. Another little luxury that makes a big impact is having styling ornaments. And I feel like this is such a huge mental shift that makes a big difference. Sometimes when you go into designing your home, if you don't know some of these tips and principles, you can sometimes choose to only focus on things that are practical. So only having things in your space that are functional. But if you want to take things up a notch and you want to lean into luxury, you have to start adding things that are simply for the sake of styling. Ornaments. It's great if they have the functionality of both. So where it is for styling and it looks great visually, but maybe there's a little hidden storage, like people have puffs or ottomans that look great, but they have storage hidden inside it, or even benches that have storage hidden inside it. It's great if you can double up on this. But sometimes you just need a cute little knot or a little vessel that you've placed at the top of a bookshelf. Just not ignoring the tops of your bookshelves, the tops of your kitchen shelves, maybe shelves by your TV stand. Just little spaces where you can add ornaments and it looks stylish. It makes such a huge difference. Sometimes I have busts, I have heads. I'll include clips of this, but I feel like things really changed once I started to understand I can use books for styling. And I don't always think you need to break the bank and get books that you will never read. I actually like to be able to flick through some of the books that I have for styling in my home. But even having book stands and things in my home that, you know, they double up when it comes to function and styling, it makes such a huge difference. You want to make sure that you have pieces in your home that you love the look of, but sometimes are solely for the purpose of styling. I feel like I've really noticed the difference in my space when I've started to incorporate things that are solely for the purpose of styling. These can be candles, they can be books, they can be book stands, they can be knots, they can be little vessels that you simply have in your space, but it just takes things up a notch. The next thing that is a little luxury that makes a big impact is having good linen. And this is across the board. I mean, from your curtains, your drapery, to even your blinds. I know that technically doesn't count as linen, but investing a little bit more to make sure you have something that's slightly higher quality. The same goes for your linen on your beds. Honestly, it makes a difference. Even your throws, your blankets, going the extra mile to find those little pieces that will really elevate your space, even though there's something that sometimes you maybe wouldn't pay as much attention to. I feel like you don't have to get the highest thread count, but get bed linen that just looks great. Get bed linen that you like the look of, but is slightly elevated. I think the same is true for throws, for blankets, for cushions, you know, the covering that you have for your cushions. Those are little luxuries that make a big impact. Even when it comes to your kitchen towels and tea towels, it sounds so minor, but it makes a huge impact. And it's little things like paying attention to the drop length of your curtains. That was a game changer for me when I realized that the longer the drop of your curtains and the more you can maybe move your curtain poles slightly higher and closer to the ceiling, it allows your space to look a little larger. It allows it to look a little more luxurious. Like, again, you wouldn't go to a really nice hotel and see kind of the curtains, you know, halfway through the wall or maybe not touching the floor. Pay attention to those little things because they are the little luxuries that make a huge difference when it comes to your home. Now, the next little luxury is something that is easily overlooked, and that is having good background music. Again, when you go into a nice store, when you go into a nice hotel lobby, guess what's always playing in the background? Something soft, something gentle, something luxurious. And this is why I really believe in having good quality sound systems at home. I love my portable speaker. It's from Bang & Olufsen, and honestly, it's just great. I don't know if I said that correctly, but Bang & Olufsen or Bang & Olufsen, but I love them. I love stuff from Bose as well. Whatever brand you want to go for, just having good quality music playing in the background, especially if you're hosting. That's a tip for dinner parties. When you're hosting or when you're welcoming guests, even if it isn't a dinner party, just having something low and quiet and a little luxe playing in the background, it makes such a huge impact. There's someone that I love to visit, And he has the built-in Sonos house system, and he will often have like light jazz playing in the background throughout the house. And that's cohesive. Again, think about a really nice resort you've been to. Sometimes even when I'm in the garden sections or outdoors, they've built in speakers that are hidden, but it's playing that music and it's setting the vibe and the atmosphere. Try it. Walk around your home in your robe and your cute pajamas and have cute music playing in the background, even when you're working. It just makes such a huge difference. It's a little luxury that makes a big impact. Final thing that I think everybody can implement as a little luxury that makes a big impact is having great storage. Now, this can be cabinets, it can be baskets, anything that can help you hide away what you don't want to be super visible all the time will elevate your space over and over again. Like I said, this can be cabinets, it can be baskets, it can be trays, it can be containers. And I really notice the difference when I have somewhere for everything. So even with trays, I have a little pouch by my doorway that has my keys, my AirPods. There's somewhere for everything to go. So I'm not walking in and I'm just dashing my keys somewhere and my AirPods. And it also eliminates stress because you're not looking for everything all the time because there's somewhere for things to go. Even in my drawers, I make sure I have little organizers where, you know, whether it's underwear, there's a section for bras, there's a section for knickers, which we call them in the UK. I think do you guys call them pants in America? I'm not sure. But there's a section for everything, even when it comes to my utensils, even when it comes to my seasonings. Like, it doesn't need to look like everything you see online, but having somewhere for everything to go, I know exactly where my vases go. I know exactly where my utensils go. I know exactly where my candles for hosting go. I know where my batteries go. Listen, I could keep going and going and going. But even when it comes to laundry, having different baskets for different things, which is something I'm going to implement because I saw a girl on TikTok share this and I was like, you have reached peak adulthood, babe. Like, you have reached the Super Saiyan version of adulthood, because she had a basket for clothes that need to be washed, clothes that she's worn once that, you know, don't need to be washed. There was a separate basket for that. And then clothes that need to be put away, because sometimes I have stuff in that washing machine for a good 3 or 4 business days before I take it out to fold it. And it's like, eventually everywhere just starts to look chaotic. So I just thought that was such a great hack, because it's so easy to take off something, you know, you don't want to hang it up, you know, you might wear it again, you know, it's not dirty, but having a basket where that goes separately, absolutely love that. But whatever it is, whether it's laundry, whether it's kitchen utensils, whether it's household items, having storage, even under the sink, having little bins that your spray bottles can go in, you know, your canisters can go in. It's a little luxury that makes a huge impact, and I would recommend it over and over again. Okay, that's it for today, you guys. Those are some little luxuries that I feel like you can implement in your home that will always make a huge impact. If you want to learn more about elevating your home or hosting dinner parties, please feel free to check out some of my other videos and share it with a friend who you think might enjoy it or find it useful. Until next time, I'll see you guys. Bye.